This is the Evil Squid Comics Podcast, episode 16. I'm Drew.
I'm Don.
I'm Scott.
And tonight we have a special guest, Mr. Chris Grine, cartoonist extraordinaire.
That's questionable.
So, all right, and so we are the Evil Squid Comics Podcast. We get together about every couple weeks, and we talk about comic books and movies that we've seen, TV shows we're watching, and apparently we're doing interviews now, so that's cool. Way back in the day we used to do
interviews,
but we haven't done it for a really long time.
So we're going to be really bad at it.
That's right. So
hey, I'm really bad at it too. I need some practice anyway, so it's good.
Whatever. I saw you on that San Diego Comic-Con panel or whatever with Randa Tegelmeyer and a couple others. You were great.
I had to change my shirt after that. I sweat through that. The little 5-minute thing. I had to restart it like 5 or 6 times because I just could not talk. I was so nervous.
Was that for the Animorphs stuff, or was that for something?
Yeah,
different?
it was for Animorphs. Yeah.
Okay.
That's Scholastic, right?
Yeah.
So one of the questions I was thinking about was if San Diego would have happened, would you have maybe gone out there then? Would they have brought you out there for that, or
I don't know if they would have brought me out there. But I think they probably, if there was any presence at all with Animorphs for Scholastic at that time, then I would have been there. I would have made sure I was there no matter what.
Right. Have you ever been to San Diego?
I've been there 2 times. One time was I got nominated for an Eisner in 2006.
Was that for Chickenhare?
Yeah, the first Chickenhare book, and then we went back a few years later just to enjoy the show because I felt like the first time you're there it was just so overwhelming. It was awesome, but overwhelming, and I also had other things to deal with then too. So my wife and I went back a few years later, and it was a lot more fun and chill because I didn't have an agenda.
Nice.
I'm assuming you didn't win.
I did not win. No.
Who'd you lose to?
Yeah, who'd you lose to? You remember?
I think the guy that draws Gumby. I can't think of his name.
What is that guy's name? I can't think of his name.
Yeah. Reminds me of Eddie Murphy, the old Gumby.
Don't get off my shelf, but
Bob Burden, is that right?
Bob Burden, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Bob Burden's the Flaming Carrot guy, I think.
No.
Rick Geary, is it Rick Geary?
Maybe. Well, whoever was doing it, I lost.
He was doing Gumby for a while. He did a bunch of these. He did some he would do adaptations of other classic novels like The Invisible Man and stuff. He did lots of cool stuff. Rick Geary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know ahead of time then if you win or lose, do you? You have to go to the actual event.
You
had to go. All you know is the nominations. You get there.
But I always kind of got the feeling sometimes that people knew ahead of time whether they're going to win or not because sometimes they were
obvious favorites.
So what?
Well, I think some people just weren't there.
Okay.
They were partying too hard, couldn't make it.
It was an honor to be nominated, right?
It really was because that was my first thing.
Yeah.
But so sincerely, it was just an honor to be nominated for that. But yeah,
What was
I like to have won.
What was the category then? Like original graphic novel?
Best title for a younger audience. I'm looking at I have a little a little framed thing they gave me.
Oh, nice.
So,
cool.
Nomination.
Nice.
2006.
Yeah.
When's the last time we went? 2009? 2010?
Yeah, we were there.
Last time I was there.
Last time you were there? I don't know.
I think
I was like 2013.
Well, you guys
or
were alternating there.
I think I went, last time I went was 2010.
Don always choked. He never went.
No, I never had any money.
It's gotten very expensive. And I mean, good luck finding a hotel anywhere near.
No, I hook us up. My wife's aunt and uncle live in San Diego. We just stay with them.
Yeah.
And they drive us to the Chican and pick us up.
Well, that's very convenient.
Well, for a while when you guys had that website, you guys were getting tickets.
And we got free tickets for a while because we had a Diamond account. They would give us free tickets every year.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, that was the only way you can get tickets. I can't get tickets anymore. It's too hard to get.
Yeah. No, I got yelled at one time because I was in line waiting for Brian Michael Bendis at the Marvel booth, and the ride was there, and I wouldn't leave the line because I was like 2 people back, and I've been waiting there forever. they were actually closing the show for the day, and Bendis wouldn't leave until he signed everybody in line. They had actually had like the people that worked for like the volunteers are like, you got to wrap it up. We're closing the building. And Bendis is like, nah. And he wasn't just autographing. He'd sit there and talk to everybody that came up.
That is
Drew kept calling me or texting me. He's like, where are you? They're here. We're waiting. We're in the car. And I'm like, I'm 2 people away. I'm like, I can't leave.
It was very awkward.
It was a bad situation, but
that exact same type of thing happened when I went to Star Wars Celebration last year there in Chicago. And Ray Park, he was doing the same damn thing where he was just talking to everybody.
The celebrities
and I was in his line, you know, and everything, and they kept coming up there and going, you got to wrap it up. They're tearing down everything around, you know, type things and stuff. And he's still like talking with everybody and whatever. Yeah, it was hilarious. I mean, I'd rather see
that happening as opposed to when everybody's mad because, you know, one of the celebrities is just kind of being a jerk, you know.
Oh, exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, that was the amazing thing that when I seen Ray Park, he was making everybody just laugh, you know, and everything. You know, his line was taking forever, but geez, he made sure that it was kind of special for everybody that was going.
That's awesome. I love hearing that stuff.
Yeah.
Who was the guy they had from one of the doctors from Doctor Who, but he was also in The Hobbit, the Radagast. What's that guy's name? You know what I'm talking about?
Doctor Who. We have seen The Hobbit, though.
They had
Radagast.
Sylvester McCoy or something like that. Is that his name? I'd have to look it up. Anyway, he was at PlanetCon one year, and this was like an hour before the show started, you know, kind of when they just let us in. And here comes this dude riding around on one of the security carts, driving all over the place, like chasing after security guards and like just laughing. He had just stolen one and was driving around, and he wasn't giving it back. And that was just hilarious.
Wow. It's awesome. So what kind of comics did you read when you were growing up? Did you read comics?
Growing up, like, I didn't really read any comics until middle school.
Okay. What did you read?
I got started on somebody started me on Wolverine, which Wolverine's great. But then I found stuff like The Tick and which in Bone and things like that, which were much more cartoony and funny, and that's when I realized like that's what I want to do. I want to do my own stories, and I want them to be funny and an adventure and stuff. So that's what I was reading first. But before that, I've always really been into like, you know, TV and movies and stuff. That was and still is my big inspiration and the thing that I go to most. But
more animation than actual comic books, you think?
What'd you say?
Probably more animation than actual comic books.
Yeah. Because I feel like in retrospect now, I probably should have maybe gone, because I went to Kansas City Art Institute, and then I transferred to another art college with a degree in illustration. I feel like I probably should have maybe looked into animation stuff, or at least storyboarding or something, because I think that's where I really find a lot of joy, and that's why I like doing the comics and stuff, because it's just sequential art and setting up stuff. So yeah, I think it all just kind of bleeds together at some point for me.
Did you watch a lot of Saturday morning cartoons?
Yes, I still watch a lot of Saturday morning cartoons. Pretty much, I guess 99% of the stuff I watch on TV is Adult Swim or morning cartoons on Cartoon Network. And it's just me. I mean, that's when the kids come in, they get mad because they want to watch HGTV or something. But I'm like, no, I'm watching Amazing World of Gumball or whatever it is, you know.
My wife was making fun of me the other day because I was watching Rebels on Saturday morning or something like that.
Oh. Yeah, you need to educate your wife. That's a really good show.
Actually, I think she's been watching some of them. She kind of enjoys it.
Well, on one of the streaming services, I think it's Amazon, but I'm not sure. They've got the old Thundercats. They have all of them on there.
Oh, wow.
I think I've seen that.
And so
go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I started watching it like, I don't know, last week or the week before, and our grandson was over there, and he was staying, and he was down there, and my wife was upstairs, and I guess he went up and told her that Grandpa was watching cartoons or something. And I'm like, it's Thundercats, man. I'm like, I don't know that I used to watch it, but I didn't watch it religiously. Like, I don't know if I've ever even seen the very first episode, like when they go away on the ship. And so, I mean, I started it from episode 1 and watched like the first 4 or 5, but I didn't realize, but one of the reasons why I think I really like that's is it Baskins? Not Baskins. The guys that did
Ralph Bakshi?
No, not Baskey. Who did the old Hobbit?
That's Ralph Bakshi.
Is it
Ralph
Baskey?
Bakshi, yeah.
Okay, then that's who it is. It's Bashki and somebody or whatever.
Well, I wouldn't have guessed that.
I don't think they did Thundercats.
Well, it was somebody. I thought that's who it was. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, why don't you look it up?
The animation
Thing that with the Masters of the Universe stuff too. I mean, I've got all that digital. He-Man. I'll just watch He-Man all day long. I mean, every episode's pretty much the exact same thing. I love it. I love the old ones the most.
Yeah, some of those don't hold up well for me
No, they don't hold up at all.
Yeah, I don't think the animation's very good.
The animation is really good. I mean, it's almost like the Japanese anime or whatever on
Like
that,
the opening
Thundercats.
The opening sequence of Thundercats is like really good animation, but the show itself not that great.
The show's not that bad. I mean, I was impressed with it because it wasn't like you get the still shots, you know, like all that. They don't have that. Like it's pretty fluid, man. I'm looking it up right now.
All right, you look it up.
Go for it. But it I don't know.
All right, so when did you start making your own comics, or how did you get into starting making
Professionally, or like when? Like, are you talking about like growing up? When was I drawing my own comics?
Yeah, that too, but also then how did it evolve into actual, trying to like actually make comics that you would sell to other people?
Well, okay, so I mean, I think like a lot of the people in comics, I was always working on, my comic that I was doing. It was middle school, high school, even in college a little bit. I always had like a sketchbook filled with like panels of stuff, and I was more into like just creating hilarious characters at that time, or parodies of whatever. I didn't really know what I was going to do with it, but and then I went to art school and got a degree in illustration. That's where I was like, all right, now it's time to be professional. No more of this comics and cartoon stuff, right? It's time to go get a real job. So I put my stuff out there, and I ended up getting hired at Hallmark. So I was doing the greeting card thing for a while, and I'd been there probably about 4 years or so when I was like, I got all this time in the evening, and this was like before we had kids and stuff. And my wife would come home. She's an artist too. She likes to sew and do stuff like making costumes and stuff like that a lot. So she'd be doing that, and I would be like just messing around on the computer or doing whatever. And I was just decided that I would try my hand at like maybe I'll do like a 24-page comic. And so I kind of just made something up as I went, and it was. Next time I see you guys, maybe I'll try to remember. There was an original version of Chickenhare that's nothing like any of them. It got so basically I did like a 24-page thing, and then I snuck into Hallmark one weekend and printed like 30 copies, something. And but anyway, not really. Or maybe am I lying? Who knows? But so basically, and this was like in 2004 for me or whatever. And at that time I didn't know anybody in comics like at all. I didn't even know there was a community in Kansas City or anything, so I didn't talk to anybody. I just went on to all the publishers' websites like Image and Dark Horse, all the ones that were at least creator owned, and they have they may not anymore, but there used to be like little drop downs for submissions.
Yeah, they probably still.
I just wrote that stuff down, put it in a bag, and and mailed all these things off to everybody. And I got rejection emails within like a day. Wow. I was like, that was fast and hurtful. They were all really, really nice though. But yeah, I was rejected like across the board. So I was like, well, that sucked. And then, but I took some of their like advice. A lot of them just had little advice, little things they had. So I was like just kind of reworking it because that wasn't like something I was super in love with. I was just throwing something out there and see what happened. And then about, I want to say like 2 months later, I just got a random email from an editor at Dark Horse who had seen my stuff in the submission pile. And even though it wasn't right for what they were doing, she wanted to know if I had anything else I was working on or how, what was going on. And so she kind of helped me figure out the first Chickenhare book, kind of what that was. And then that's kind of how I got started. So it was kind of backwards. A lot of things I do are completely backwards and probably infuriating to people who try to do it the right way. I just never know what I'm doing. and I usually end up at least facing the right direction. So
Yeah, I don't think there is a right way. I think everybody's story is just a little bit different, you know?
Yeah. I was listening to an interview podcast with John McCrae. I don't know if you know who that is.
He doesn't read comics. He just
Yeah. Well, anyway, he had
I
kind
may
of
know the art or the writing, but I
he did Hitman with Garth Ennis, and he's been around for a while. He's like a Scottish guy, or I think he's from Scotland. But anyway, it's kind of a similar story. He was like he would send in submissions to all of them like once a week. Like 1 week he said he'd send them to Marvel, then the next week he'd send them to DC, and then the next week and he just kept doing that for like 2 or 3 years, and he just kept, you know what I mean? So like at a lot of the artists that you listen to interviews or talk to, I mean, they're kind of the same way. Like Todd McFarlane is like one of the most notorious. He's like, I got like 300 rejection letters, and he like saved them all. And so, but yeah, the thing I take away from it is that, you just have to be persistent, keep doing it, and eventually you'll get better, or, you'll catch a break or whatever. But
I don't think I would have hung in there for 300 rejection letters. I think I would have just taken a hint.
Yeah. I don't know that it was 300. I may be exaggerating, but
I'm just saying, yeah. So
yeah.
So by the time you started like going to conventions and selling your stuff, had you already had Chickenhare like published by Dark Horse as like a book?
Yeah, so that's kind of how.
You were never like that cartoonist guy who was doing fan art or making like little mini comics?
No, I had never done anything before. So the first Chickenhare book comes out. I'm like, I don't know. Where am I supposed to? How do you do any of this? And then and I didn't know any of the guys. And so there's a comic book shop in Lee Summit. And they were like, yeah, you want to come in and do a signing, and I was like, that sounds awesome. It was like, I think like 1 or 2 people came in the whole time, but at the time, that's where Dennis Hopeless was working.
Nice.
At least part-time. I'm not sure what the story is on that. So, and that would have been 2006. So it was like 15 years ago. But yeah, so he was making fun of me the whole time from like 3 feet away at the cash register, being Dennis. He was just being Dennis, and that's kind of how we kind of met and all that. And then so I think I behind.
Oh,
Frozen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you just cut out for a little bit.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
Can you
you're
hear
back
us?
now.
Yeah, everything froze up for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Wi-Fi.
So anyway, I through him or through somebody he put me in contact with, I got to like some of the local shows, and a few of them have gone away now. But I was like, I just showed up in like my little nice shirt with a collar, and have you guys ever seen me in a collar? No.
No.
And so I showed up, and I'm just like standing there, and that's when I think I met Kevin Mellon and Kyle, and just a couple of other guys. And that's kind of how it just kind of got going. But yeah.
So this is 2006. What was Kyle doing?
2006 or 7 or so.
Was he doing?
No, he wasn't doing anything.
He wasn't doing anything.
He was doing
Dennis,
like some like experimental like art sketches and stuff. They're real creepy at the time, like real weird, almost looked like scratch board kind of thing or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Liked them a lot. They were just a little creepy looking.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant. That's what I meant by doing. I meant, did he have anything published at that point?
I don't think he had anything published at that time, but maybe he did. I just don't think he did yet.
Yeah. Was he writing anything at that point?
Him and Kevin were working on Gearhead, and I think that was come out or that was getting ready to come out.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It feels like forever ago, but we were young children then. I don't know. I feel
2 years. Wow.
Yeah, it is. Question.
So now you've been being a full-time cartoonist since with Hallmark, you cut ties with them or they cut ties with you or whatever. But now you're a full-time cartoonist. How is that different than when you were just doing it like on your own in the basement or at night or whatever?
I think it's definitely better because then I was splitting my time, like I'd come home and already be tired. And then, we do dinner and then hang out with the kids. Cause I always had a rule that I didn't start work in the evenings until after the kids went to bed. But then the kids got older and older and older. And now my daughter won't go to bed till like 9:30. So, I mean, if I got to work, that's just how it is. But yeah, so being able to do it though, set my own hours and just work, it's been pretty awesome. I love it a lot, and I'm getting way more done. So it's been good. I love it, but I do kind of miss, interacting with human beings, and I think my wife's irritated when she gets home, and I'm all like, "How's your day? What's going on?" And she's actually been home since March. So,
yeah,
and she'll be home through the end of the year at least. So that's been pretty nice. I actually have had some people in the house to talk to.
Well, I know like Kyle and Buddy Young share like a studio space or something. I think probably because they don't want to just sit in their house all day. Or whatever.
Probably. I couldn't do that because I like to work any chance I get. Like, you can't just duck into a place that's like 5 or 10 blocks away, while your wife is like on the phone with her mom or kids are, busy playing some game and you have a little time and you're bored. I mean, so I just can't do that. I
right.
do that. I like to, I'm too sporadic in the way I work.
Well, that makes sense.
So, do you read any comics at all now? Then, do you read anything? Is there anything that interests you that you keep up with, or?
I tried reading the when the X-Men stuff switched over, or switched or whatever, started over or whatever. I was, God, I made quite a few issues into that, but it came down to time for me. Like, I just didn't have time anymore. I mean, like so I finished the first Animorphs book probably I think right at the beginning of January of this year. And so starting like February 1st, I started my first book for Oni that hasn't been announced yet, so I can't say it just yet. But I think we're close to announcing it. But so from February till July, so was it 6 months or whatever? About 6 months. I completely sketched, lettered, inked, and colored a 268-page graphic novel. And now I just got done penciling and almost done lettering a 200-page Animorphs book, the next Animorphs book. So,
wow.
I'm very busy and tired.
I was gonna say, you got
That's
some
why
writing.
I can't work out of the house either, because it's like I work just whenever. I have to work whenever.
Do you work, like, do you just work? How long do you work in it? Like, what's a work day for you? 8, 10 hours?
Yeah,
12
I
hours?
typically go to like whenever like the kids would technically go to work, or when my wife leaves for work. That's when I work, and I work about, I'd say, anywhere from 8 to 4 probably on a normal day, and then I pick some up in the evening if I'm really being crushed at the time. But
Right.
I try to keep the evenings to myself. Sometimes I don't have any days off, though. That would be like even through the weekend, and so.
Yeah. Do you normally try to take the weekends off then, just work during the week? Or?
I try to, but it doesn't always work, especially with, I mean, the kids now are both in soccer, and it's just extra things all the time that kind of eat away where my free time used to be. And I try to eat into my sleep, because that's when things go sideways a little bit for me. But so far it hasn't been so bad. But yeah.
Do you do everything digital then? Are you doing everything digital?
100% digital now. Everything on my iPad Pro, because before that I would still do the penciled pages on like 5x7s. I would do them real small and then blow them up in the computer and ink on top of that. But since I got the iPad Pro, I mean, that goes anywhere with me, and I do all my pencils on that now.
So now you can do that while you're watching the kids at soccer practice.
Yeah.
What? Do you have to have a certain program then this is a technical question, and I'm just curious. So with like an iPad Pro, when you ink, do you have to have like a certain program, or?
I don't ink on the iPad. I know Kyle and Scott and a lot of the guys do. I just so I'm completely the only thing I do on the iPad is use Procreate, and I just do sketches in that. It's just a drawing program called Procreate. And then I send it all digitally over to my computer, and then I open it in Photoshop or Clip Studio. I ink in. I do the Photoshop.
And then you color digitally too.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, yeah.
Photoshop.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Yeah. That last book that you did, or is it the Bones thing or
Alien Bones?
Alien. I just got around to reading that because I knew you were coming on. My
Doug
life's
buys
been
a lot
crazy.
of comic books. He doesn't actually read them.
Right. But
I do.
We moved and then I couldn't find it and blah, blah. But anyway, but I was reading the credits and it said that you did the colors too. So I assumed the colors were digital, but I didn't know about everything else. So, yeah. So do you get, well, I mean, you do everything pretty much except write.
Well, he writes a lot of stuff too.
Right. But this he didn't.
Alien Bones.
Alien Bones, I had a partner on that. And
Animorphs, he's not. Are you writing Animorphs?
Well, I'm adapting it. I can change whatever I want.
Okay.
Is it based on the old books?
Yeah, it's a book for book adaptation, and I'm staying as true to that as I can. But I've changed stuff. I've added a lot of dialogue and stuff. So I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say I'm even a co-writer, but I'm definitely punching up the jokes a little bit here and there. And
gotcha. Do you have to did they give you free reign on that, or do you have to submit things, or
you have an editor that double checks you there?
Well, the way Scholastic works, and it's a little frightening if you don't know about it going in, is that they handle books you know how somebody would write an all prose a mystery novel or something, right? You turn in the manuscript, right? And then they read through it, and that's when the editing and stuff begins. Well, on a graphic novel, say, the 230-page Animorph book I finished last year, or the one I just got done penciling or whatever, I have to do all the pencils and all the lettering and word balloons and send that in. That's the manuscript. That's the first time they see it. And so that's a heck of a lot of work. But that said, I mean, I could have messed up really bad and they could have had a lot of notes, things that weren't working or whatever. But I didn't stray from the book that much, and I guess I didn't mess anything up bad enough to merit that. So it was relatively easy going.
You just get a handful of comments and then have to tweak some things around, or was it just pretty much that
they didn't have any notes to move anything around for the first one? Lots of just art notes and just editorial and things like that, which is just general stuff. But I mean, I feel like they've given me free reign, but I have tried to respect the source material as much as possible because I'm not a big fan of going to a movie or a TV show that's based on a book that I love and somebody has butchered it, and not because to make it work, cinematically, but because they just had to be all over it. They just had to change it to change it. So while they totally gave me free reign, I think I probably could have changed something if I felt like it wasn't working or if I had a better idea. But I mean, the book is pretty solid. That book 1 is pretty solid. So there was really nothing to. I didn't test the waters, basically, I guess. So.
Were you familiar then with the Animorphs series before you got the job there with it, or is that something where they said, "Hey, we'd like you to kind of adapt"?
If I was interested in it, because that series started in '96 and it ended in 2001, and there's 54 books. Wow. It's crazy amount of books, and I started college in '95, so I missed it by a year. So while I was aware of them, because they had those crazy covers that have become memes and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? The Animorphs book.
Oh yeah.
I forget where I was going now. Oh my god.
Were you a fan of Animorphs before?
Oh yeah, thank you. So I guess I hadn't read the books, but I was a fan of the covers because they were just so weird. And then I had read a few synopsises because there was times where I was just trying to catch up on some reading, like post-college, like what did I miss? And I worked at Borders for a little while. I just never really got into it, especially when I saw that there was like 54 books. I don't know about that. That's a commitment. At least at the time, that just, and so when they came to me, like I was aware of it, and I know that there's still a huge fan base for it. And so when they were like, "Would you be interested?" I was like, "Absolutely." I would love to, to do that. And I had to submit some pages, how I would adapt a scene, basically, or a couple scenes, and I ended up getting the gig, I guess. So, but since then, I have really dug into the books, and I've kind of had to be able to adapt them, right? I feel like I need to understand everything that's going on, and it's.
How many pages are the books? There's 54 books. Are they like 200 pages a piece?
They're about 200 pages. Some of them are a little shorter, but then the way it's written is like, I mean, you could have like a paragraph on a page, where it's like, and then we ran across this huge building with millions of cars, and after we jumped down the other side, we had to swim across the lake. Like all in one little paragraph in the book. I have to draw that. I mean, that's probably like 6 pages of just because of every scene change and all that stuff. So
that's crazy. And 6 years? You said they ran for 6 years?
I guess, yeah. So 96 through about 2001 at some point. And there was a few little spin-off things. But yeah, man, 54. I think I heard they were coming out like every month or every other month.
Wow.
They'd have
a monthly book.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like they were always around 100 to 200 pages. I never really read any myself, but I think my daughter read some of them.
I haven't either. I mean, I completely missed it. Like,
I think we're all older when they came out.
Yeah, exactly right. My daughter was born in 97 and type thing, so she, was read some of them after the fact.
Wow, that's insane.
They're really dark. They're really dark at places. Like much darker than you guys would even guess.
So you've had to read them all then.
Well, I haven't read all 54. No, I've read like the first 12, and then I've listened to lots of podcasts and things where people basically talk about every episode for about an hour and a half, or every book for about an hour and a half. So I've listened to those too, and I actually get a lot from those, like just what people are excited about, or what people are most excited to see. So. If I get to a scene where I'm like, I have to change something, I try to be aware of, what the fans want as much, because that's what I would want.
Yeah.
But do you get fan mail from that, based off the first one that you did or anything?
Well, it's not out yet.
The first
one comes out October 6th.
Okay. I thought I seen ads or something for it, but maybe
I think they're marketing it. But
okay. Heck, I just thought it already was.
But I've doubled my Twitter followers and stuff, and it's all Animorphs fans. And I actually love that. I mean, I love interacting with the fans, so I try to be as active on there as I can and respond to as many people as I can. But that's been really fun. That has been really fun for me. I've never really had that. So,
has it been solicited through Diamond Man?
Yeah, I think it was in the last preview.
Son of a bitch, I missed it.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna buy it on Amazon. I don't know
because I was sure I was already seeing ads for it in Amazon.
I'll get it.
So
just
I just assumed it was already there, but they do pre-orders a hell of a lot.
I get you guys a copy when I saw you in November, but since we're not doing that, I'll hold them for a few years for you. I mean,
no, I appreciate that, but yeah, no, I would normally, although I did wait a while. And I didn't really scour through the previews like I normally do because I was on a time crunch, but I must have missed it. But yeah, I'll pick it up. That's for sure. But
yeah, see, I was thinking of picking up one for my oldest daughter just because of the fact that I knew
she read them back in the day.
She knew she read some of them back in the day.
Cool. And then when she comes to AirCap, Chris can sign it.
Yeah, it could be.
I was going through photos on my phone and the picture of the Jawa that you did at the convention.
Oh my gosh.
With the egg.
Oh yeah.
It popped up on my phone, and I laughed. So
I miss conventions.
Right. to Kick-Ass Coraline for me for my oldest daughter. See, so I got to have her meet him,
Yeah.
sometime.
Eventually. Next year. Hopefully next
one of
year.
these times.
Hopefully next year.
I got a few more questions. I'll try and run through them real quick because we have kept you a little while.
Oh no, man! Where the hell am I going? It's fine.
you might want to
So it
sleep.
sounds like you got to do
I miss you guys. I mean, I know we're not going to see you in November. I'm kind of bummed out. So this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, this is kind of my own sort of pet kind of passion, question. So I'm very fascinated with the influences of comic book artists and how they carry through the next generation. So my kids, I have kids kind of like you, and they all read the Dave Pilkey and the Randa Tegelmeyer books or whatever, To them, that's comic books, that's graphic novels, that's what's going to influence this generation of cartoonists. Whereas my generation, we all read Captain America and X-Men and whatever, Batman. That was what influenced us.
G.I. Joe.
Right? Yeah, or whatever. But since you were influenced differently, and since you're kind of in that a genre of those kind of YA type graphic novels, how do you think these graphic novels are going to influence the next generation of cartoonists? That's kind of a deep question.
That's a deep question. I don't know. You mean just the Animorphs books, or you just any
all those, it just seems graphic novels for kids are kind of exploding, like the Dave Pilkey, the Dogman books, the Randa Tegelmeyer, the Animorphs. My kid reads those Babysitter Clubs, which is the same kind of thing where they're adapting the books into graphic novels. Or whatever.
I think it's just great that I just feel like it's creating more and more original stuff. People who every generation seems like there's just more and more creator-owned or smaller press or different things that they're taking out, and it's not just the superhero stuff. It's just getting more and more and better. And it's just it's moving into just more, different directions, very young, and then also some that are directed just at adults that are maybe just dramas and stuff. And I just think it's going to just keep spreading like that. That's what I hope anyway, because I think those are some of the more interesting projects.
Another little kind of fanboy question. What's your Marvel DC Grail character? If you did a run for Marvel DC, which character would you want to touch? Even though it's not really in your style necessarily.
Man, I don't even know.
Batman.
No, it would be Marvel. It would be Marvel.
It would be Marvel?
Yeah, it would be. But I just don't know who it would be specifically. I mean, God.
The Watcher.
Oh, no. I mean,
there you go.
I still love Wolverine and I still love, Spider-Man and stuff. So I just don't know.
Spider-Man
That would be if I got hired to do that. I mean, they miscast me if somebody hired me to draw that. No one's gonna want that. No one.
Do you have any? You've been super busy, but are you gonna do any more Wicked Crispy?
Yeah, Wicked Crispy.
Eventually, I want to. Yeah. I mean, there is a contract, technically right now for a printed book at some point, and it's supposed to be going on to Comixology really soon. It's nothing new. Though. It's not going to be anything new because that's what I used to do when I was in between projects.
Right.
And then I ended up with 6 graphic novels in 3 years, and there's no time. Those little windows and months I had of nothing or 2 weeks of nothing, there hasn't been one of those in a while, and that's why there's no new Wicked Crispy.
Maybe me and Drew need to find out what your page rate is, and we can hire you to do more Wicked Crispy.
Yeah, but I can't because I can't even do what I got to do right now. So bad.
Oh my gosh.
There's not enough Chris Grine to go around.
Yeah, there's
this. And the book you're doing for Oni, is that one that had started with Lion Forge that kind of got moved over to Oni when they merged?
Yes.
Oh.
As soon as we had signed the deal, the contract, and everything was done, it was the very next day or the next week was that news of the murder, and I was like, oh God, what does that do? But no, it was one of the. I guess a lot of stuff got canceled, but for whatever reason, they wanted to hang on to this one. So That was good.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that'll be announced soon, you think?
What's that?
That'll be announced pretty soon, you think?
Yes, they've told me I could what is it? A vague book about it. But just I can't say anything, and I'm like, I'll just let's just announce it and then I'll do it. But
There you go.
so
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really excited about that too. That's an original series. So and
Damn, it's an exclusive.
I know, right?
Just a little bit. It'll probably be announced next week.
yeah, I hope it's announced soon because I think it comes out like late spring or so. Basically, in the next 3 years, I'll have an Animorphs book probably every year about the same time. So around the first part of October, and then every late spring I'll have a book through Oni, part of a 3-book series. So that'll be really nice. I mean,
You're pretty well booked up here for the next foreseeable future.
more than you know, but I'm not. People keep saying you shouldn't complain. That's what you wanted. And no, I'm not. The only thing I'm complaining about is just how tired I am. So I'm not complaining that I have too much work. I love having too much work. So.
Yeah, I'm sure. Love having to work, but boy, it just sure sucks up the time.
Oh, yeah.
Sleep is nice.
I drink a lot of coffee.
So how many conventions did you used to do a year? I'm kind of unsure about. Okay.
3, 4, maybe just 3. Yeah. Kind of a homebody. I don't really like going to shows, but I go to your guys' show because I love you guys in the town and when we hang out. It's awesome. We all have a great time. I do Craig's show in Lawrence in September and then Planet.
Cool.
And then sometimes there'll be an odd one we'll throw in there and go to like, I think there was one in Springfield last year. Library Con or something like that. That was a really good show too. So, but the older I get, the less excited I am about going to conventions all the time. I don't know.
Well, once you get good distribution, it's not like you're peddling your wares quite as much,
I was honestly, I never really worried about peddling my wares at shows. I mean, a lot of it for me. And I can't speak for everyone, but for me, it's always been about socializing with peers and people that I like, from the industry, people we're all working in the same direction. And that was always why I do the shows. I mean, I rarely break even. But that's not why I'm going. I mean, I'm going to sell stuff and make new fans and talk to people, but I'm also going to hang out with the guys who literally could live like 4 miles from me and I'd still not see them. Because I'm too busy to, working, where everybody kind of just has the weekend to just chill for a little bit. And that's why I do shows.
Cool. Have you seen the new stuff Kyle's been doing with his new project? It's kind of like cartoony a little bit.
Yes. He started posting a couple of shots in color.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, I'm so jealous. It is magical. Whatever that is, it's very magical.
Yeah.
What is he doing? Where is he posting this on? Is
Instagram.
It on Instagram. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm not a big Instagram guy. I need to get on there. I know.
Get on there.
I'm still on Facebook, so
Facebook is not it.
I see Kyle. He'll post stuff every once in a while on Facebook, I think.
Yeah, he does sometimes.
But yeah, I need.
But he's doing it. I think Scotty Young's writing it. But anyway,
yeah.
So, this is Chris Grine time. I just was curious if you'd seen
it's
that.
Fine.
It's kind of cartoon style.
Yeah, dude. That at that last show on that whatever it was Friday night or Saturday night when they left you guys at the hotel and I just happened to pop in and I got to sit around and chat with you and Kyle for like I don't know an hour and a half. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Great conversation. So yeah, that's what I miss too. About the conventions is obviously it's fun to go and dig through comic book boxes and get commissions and get artwork, but I mean. Most of the time when I'm at Planet or wherever, I mean, I'm at your table, I'm at Buster's table, I'm at Kyle's table. I mean, I'm just shooting the shit for an hour until you guys get tired and shoo me away, or my wife gets tired and drags me away, or whatever. But that's what I miss. Just the.
I'm just glad that it's only once a year because it's just. I enjoy it. I have a lot of fun, but if I had to do that a lot, it would probably drive me crazy. But I like going, to your point, to try to see everybody, see the different art. I actually liked, just having a booth, seeing people come through, and especially young kids or something get excited about something that I've owned for 20 years, or something, whatever it may be.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's sad. It's like a first world problem. It feels bad to like complain about it. It's almost like, oh no, we're not playing NFL football this year. You know what I mean? Like it's like I feel like it's very low on the priorities, but it's like what we like to do. Yeah. So I mean, it kind of sucks that we don't get to do it, but
yeah, it is. It's not good, but I mean.
Did you see a Mandalorian season 2 announce their new date?
What's the date?
October 30th.
30th.
Yeah.
All right.
When?
That's not soon.
We'll be here for you about it.
That's not soon enough. That show.
It's only 2 months.
That show is great.
It's real good. I'm worried they got too many people joining the cast for season 2.
Yeah.
So many people that I feel like. Is it going to be like the bad guy of the week or something every week or something? I don't. There's too much new star power jumping on, and they just don't want it to overshadow the really good stuff they've got going on. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how they integrate Ahsoka into it or whatever. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. I don't know that they necessarily needed to do that though either. So
that'll
be interesting.
I don't read anything ahead of time, so I have no idea what you guys are talking about. So Ahsoka is.
I'm specifically not saying any words or names.
There you go. Did you watch any of the gallery, Disney gallery? Yeah. I did too. I thought that was an excellent for something in which is just like an hour long or 30 minutes of the making of a 40-minute show. It was really good.
It really was. That technology with the shooting in the round like that.
Oh yeah, the volume that they called it. Yeah, that was.
That's witchcraft. That is witchcraft.
Well, I thought the guy that did the music or whatever, the score, the composer there, kind of young guy, hippie-looking person or something, he was like a savant. I mean, he's just like, I picked up this thing and started beating it around and it sounded good. And I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, there's a lot of good about that show. And the behind-the-scenes stuff was great.
If I ever find time, I should watch it then.
You should definitely watch.
You're kidding, right? You're kidding?
Behind the scenes.
I'm talking about behind the scenes.
Okay, because I was going to tell you computer screen.
I was behind when you guys did the show, so I didn't get the Jawa joke that weekend.
Because
I hadn't watched that episode yet.
Because it just dropped on that Friday.
I was a little busy.
Of course, if you're a true fan, I woke up at 6 a.m. before work to watch that show.
I'm pretty sure I woke up at 6 a.m. that Friday, but it was to drive to the TV station or whatever. It wasn't to watch Mandalorian.
Well, it dropped at probably 3 a.m. So you could have got it then or something.
I could have. I'm not that diehard. I mean, I love it and I enjoy it, but I'm. They've made it to where I can consume it when it's convenient for me. So that's what I do now.
That's right.
But, yeah.
Awesome. All right, do you want to plug anything before we kind of let you go or whatever?
I don't got anything. Just animal stuff. But
Animorphs coming October 6th, you said?
October 6th, yeah. And then another thing that I can't even say anything about yet. But that's going to be a pretty big deal, I think. So,
nice.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, you want to hang out and listen to us talk about movies, TVs, and comic books?
I don't know. I think I actually might try to go to sleep.
All right, we understand.
Get yourself some rest or whatever.
All right. Well, it's nice to see you guys.
Yeah, it was really great chatting with you. Thank you so much for doing this. Hopefully, it looks like we didn't have too many technical problems, so that's good.
No.
Yeah, it worked out really well.
Can you guys do this with more than two? Could you do?
Yeah, I think the rooms you want.
Whoever you could do it with multiple people.
I believe so. Yeah, I think you can invite It's kind of like Zoom, but through Facebook Messenger, and then you can broadcast it or whatever.
I don't know. I think we could get a whole comics creator party going in here.
Might have to
be
do
cool.
that.
That's what I'm
That'd be
thinking.
cool.
The Kansas City crew there, you know.
There's
Yeah.
too many of them. There's like 20
that's
of them.
true. There's
Yeah.
a big chunk of them
There's a
now.
big chunk.
We'll just have to pick and choose.
It's
There
true.
you go.
You guys can just hold a trivia night. So we got to tune in.
Yep.
That's
Think
an
so.
idea.
All right. That's not a good idea, though. All right. You guys have a good night.
All right,
Hey,
thank
take
you.
care.
Chris.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Cool. All right. So should we go ahead and finish the rest of the podcast? You want to keep doing it like
Yeah.
this? You want to like
I don't
rotate the camera?
I don't care. I'm good.
Are we gonna
We're
do it
good.
live?
Yeah, I think we're still live. So we'll
Oh.
just, I think
I'll
we'll
just
keep
hang out
doing
over
it.
here.
It was-
Get your social distancing.
It was Rankin Bass.
Yeah.
Rankin Bass.
It's
Oh,
called-
Rankin Bass, not
Rankin Bass.
Ralph Bashki.
Yeah, Rankin Bass.
Okay, cool.
And it said on here that
He did the Hobbit thing.
I think so. Yeah.
I guess Ralph Bashki did the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe.
where I was confused. And then
It's-
Rankin Bass did Return of the King and the Hobbit.
Gotcha. It said that the animation was outsourced to at least 5 Japanese animation companies. So
On Thundercats?
yeah, on Thundercats.
Yeah, I guess last time I saw it, I didn't think the animation was that
You should-
impressive.
It's on Hulu. Is what
Alright,
it is.
Hulu.
Oh,
Get rid of
well.
Hulu.
Anyway,
Down with the Hulu.
I'm sure it's on YouTube.
I got it to again. So.
But yeah. Anyway,
Oh, we can put this in front of us so it like
so
yeah,
watch this.
yeah, so we don't have to be on camera. And then
There
we
you
can set
go.
our stuff in front of us.
And you can set
Nice.
stuff up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so what are we talking about? Do we have any TVs and movie stuff we want to talk about?
Well, obviously the big news there was Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
Friday.
It's so interesting when the news broke. It's like I went to my Facebook feed, and I swear, since I have so many comic book, fans on there, it was just scrolling like every single for 3, 5, 10 pages of scrolling. It was just then people sharing that news or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it was just so shocking because nobody knew
Nobody
he was
knew.
sick.
Yeah,
And
kept that
so-
so quiet. You know what's funny? And I need to talk to my brother about this. And well, my brother was actually the one who broke the news to me. I happened to be at a fantasy football draft at the time, and he texted me and he goes, "Did you hear, that he passed away?" I was like, "What?" I thought he was pulling my leg. I had to go search real quick and go, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
But I think that he was the one that might have told me a couple of months ago. He goes, "Man, did you see him? He was skinny as all get out, or something."
Yeah, I think there were some pictures. Well, I don't pay attention to most of that stuff, but
Well,
I
I
think there
don't
was
either,
some
but
pictures
there
where
was
he
something in which
skinny
he,
looked sickly or
he posted something, at one point, and he looked really thin,
yeah.
I think my brother asked me about that or something.
Yeah.
Like I said, but it could have been another actor too. I don't
No,
know, but
it's
I would
probably
have
him.
swore it was probably this one.
Now that he passed away, you see some pictures of people posted of him looking kind of thin or
Oh,
not
yeah.
really 100%.
Well, they even showed, an interview with him because they were going, "Wow, you're really, losing some weight there. What have you been
Yeah.
doing?" And he's like, "I just been running, that type
Yeah,
of thing."
yeah.
So
We just watched The Five Bloods.
Oh, he was in that, right?
yes,
Yeah.
he is.
And
Spike Lee.
and I don't know when that was made, but it came out
Recently.
last year, recently. I mean,
Yeah, I think it just came out a few months ago.
Yeah.
I didn't think that he looked that much different, but I didn't really pay attention. You know what I mean? But we
Yeah.
watched it after he passed away because
Correct.
I'd seen it when it came out on Netflix and asked Barbara if she wanted to watch it. And she's like, "Now I don't even know what that is." And then obviously after he passed away, then she's like, "What was that show? That blah, blah, blah. Let's watch that." I'm like, "Oh, now you want to watch?" She's like, "Well, yeah." But I mean, it was all right.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, he's not in it a whole lot.
What
just
war is that
because-
about?
It's the Vietnam War.
Vietnam War. Okay.
Yeah. He's not in it a whole lot just because of the way the story is set. But I mean, it's okay. It's Spike Lee, so it's very political and whatever. But it's fine. The movie that I did want to talk two birds. I watched Birds of Prey.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Did you like that?
No, I didn't.
No, Scott said it was good.
I liked it, but
I
But-
understand why people would like it, but I don't know. I don't know if I just have a hard on for DC, if it was a bad movie, if it was an okay movie. Now, they did, so like, I just don't like Harley Quinn. I don't know.
Maybe
I don't.
That's it.
Deadpool, I feel like that movie was already made and it was called Deadpool. Because it was like Deadpool.
Because she
They're
does
definitely
talk to
going
She
for
talks to
that
herself.
camera and
that-
things of that
It's
nature.
R-rated. so
There's
they're
a
really
huge
going.
soundtrack. I mean, there's like, there must be 50 fucking songs in that movie.
That's the way Suicide Squad
Because they
was
switch
too,
it
though.
right. And then that scene where towards the end where they're at the carnival or the fun house or whatever, and they're bouncing around and beating those guys and the colors, it reminded me of like the 1960 Batman show, like just super campy, bow, pan,
Yeah.
biff. Like that hit me, and then like, you know, a couple. I mean, there was like one or two scenes where I kind of chuckled with something.
I thought
mean-
when she went in and broke into that police,
Now that
place,
one was
that
kind
was
of cool. She's
really
shooting
good. And
the
she's shooting all the cops,
shooting all the cops and the
everything.
colors and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That one was okay.
That's what I thought. Some of the
And-
cinematography and the action was really good,
Right.
and I do think that Margot Robbie does a good job as the Harley Quinn. But then again, I don't. It's not like I really.
I
read
don't
the
think
comics
that she
either.
does a bad job.
So-
I just don't like that character. Like I just
I could
don't
be.
like that character in
Harley
the
Quinn?
movie. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was okay. It wasn't horrible. Like it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't. But I understand why. Like if it was a success, I think it was a success. I understand.
Yeah, I don't
medium.
know.
I mean, I
I
don't think it was a bomb, but it wasn't a huge
Yeah.
success.
What I mean is, I understand why it appeals to people, like
Right.
on a big scale. Like I understand, like it's not a niche movie. I mean, they did a really good job with like the action scenes. They were
Yeah.
good, and the soundtrack, the music that they put, I liked a lot of the music in it,
Yeah.
and that's all it was. It was like fight scene. Let's throw 5 different music songs in here, and we'll just boom, boom, boom. We'll just hit
Wow.
you over the head with it. And then the color, I thought the color was really cool. Like I liked the way
Yeah.
they used the colors. And the plot wasn't that bad.
And that was
it
the
was
thing.
very
The plot
simple.
was very simple. You
It was
know, it's
very
very
simple.
simple. You know where it's going for the most part. You kind of know who's doing
But-
this, whatever else. But I felt like between the action, the cinematography, and the overall acting, in general, I thought it was entertaining, to me.
It
But
was-
you definitely don't go in expecting,
No, and I didn't.
great film by any means.
Right, and that's
or
the
something
problem.
this.
Like with these DC movies, like I expect absolutely nothing from them. Like
And that's
zero.
and maybe that's why I
And I'm
enjoyed it. I
still-
felt like I had a fun time watching the movie.
And I'm
While I would go, it still doesn't compare to anything, say Marvel, where it has a little bit of that deeper,
right.
aspect to it. And I'm not even saying like they're trying to change the world or anything, but something about Marvel, how they build characters and
Right.
and the humor intermixed, with things, with good storytelling. This wasn't good storytelling, really. But it was to me, it's a lot like maybe say maybe like The Last Jedi or something like that.
Right.
In which it's a beautiful film, but on its own, it was entertaining, but is it a great movie?
Yeah.
No, type of thing.
No, I mean, it. So it took me 3 sittings to watch the whole movie.
Oh,
'Cause, like
wow.
the first time I
How
sat
the-
down,
man,
like
don't
I
get
fell
it.
asleep, like 40 minutes into it. I mean, it was late. I started it
Yeah.
late. It was like 40 minutes
And
into
I could
it.
see
I fell
falling
asleep.
asleep to a film like that.
And then I watched like maybe another 20 minutes of it, and then I finally sat down and watched the rest of it. But the thing that's going through my head is it's Ewan McGregor plays Black Mask. He's
Yeah.
like the bad
He's
guy.
a bad guy.
And I'm just like, why? Like, why would he play that movie? Like, does he think that that's the DC movie that's going to break through and he's going to have like a character? Well, obviously not.
I think they
But
paid
like,
him.
well, they paid him, but I mean, I'm just
It's
like,
probably true.
I don't know. I mean,
He's
it's
really
like,
not a lot
I think
of
he
movies.
Are you
probably
still-
looked at it and felt like it was a fun role, is what I think, because he camps it up.
he
Yeah,
does
quite
camp it
frankly.
up, but
So
even,
I think that was probably the case. And it's not like Ewan makes best of choices sometimes.
Oh,
when it
yeah.
comes
well,
to
no,
roles.
I understand that,
So-
but like, I don't know. It's like,
I
is
think of a movie Ewan McGregor made.
it just going through his head that like,
he made that like Eye of the Beholder or something with Ashley Judd, awful fucking film.
Yeah,
maybe he just likes
really
awful
bad.
movies. I don't know.
And Trainspotting, of course.
I like
He did
Trainspotting, but that was like
1 and 2.
25 years ago.
Well, he did the second one though too. He
That's
came back
true.
around to that.
I never saw the
and
second one.
things.
Did you?
So
didn't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't hate it, but it was a chore. Like after the first time, like I watched the first 40, I got like up to the police scene. Like that's about where I got the first time, and I was like, do I even want to finish this movie? I'm like, do I want to go back to it? Do it? And I'm like, I guess I will, just because it's a comic book movie. And whatever, I'll give it a shot.
And you're on a comic book podcast, you probably should.
Yeah.
So you probably should.
Man, I see you got HBO Max now. You're watching all these DC movies.
I know. I gotta try to
awesome.
figure that thing out for you.
Oh, that's fine. I'm just
I
saying
gotta
that
find-
it's cool that you're.
Well,
catching up
that's
on some
about
stuff.
all that's on there. There is a lot of DC content on there because I think there's, I don't know what's going on with like their DC, because like does DC have its, did it sell out to HBO? Their
You understand
digital.
Warner Brothers owns HBO and DC.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
So anyway, because they have the Doom Patrol on there,
Right.
but they don't have Swamp Thing.
That's weird.
And then they have like some of the movies, and they have a lot of the animated, like the Batman animated. They have a lot of that, but they don't have like the Batman animated series.
Yeah,
They
I don't
don't
know
have
who's
like,
buying the DC Universe service and not having HBO Max. I guess they have a few more things on there.
well, yeah, like I mean, I'd really like to go back and watch the Batman animated series and even the Superman animated
Is that
series.
on there, you said, or it's not?
It's not on
Oh,
HBO
gotcha.
Max. I'm wondering, it has to be on the DC
Yeah,
thing,
I think
because
it's on
it's
the
not
DC
on
thing.
anything else.
No, I think it's on the DC thing.
Um,
I think Matt said he was watching them.
yeah, I mean, I'd love to go back and watch that stuff, especially the Batman one. I did watch the Superman one a little bit. I like that, but
Yeah.
Anyway, good TV though was Umbrella Academy.
Oh, was that good?
Season 2 is very good.
We finished season 1 and we finished season 2.
Oh, nice. Season 2 is better?
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with season 1. I liked it.
I did too. I'm just saying. It was a little
But yeah,
dragged
season two almost seemed a little drug out too. And part of season 2 was just like, seriously, like we're still doing this time travel bullshit. It's like
the whole thing.
That's the whole
That's Umbrella
thing.
Academy.
And it even ties into like 3. Now we're gonna be more time travel stuff in season 3, the way they set it up at the
Maybe.
end.
There's definitely
Well, that's
something
funny
going on.
because
But-
the first Umbrella Academy, like of the graphic novel, there wasn't a lot of time travel.
No, and
But they kind of put that into season 1 of the show, and then season 2 was all.
Yeah, because they kind of blurred some things there.
I read.
A second. I think in the first season, they took a lot mainly from the first graphic novel and some little bits and pieces.
from the
Of
From
the
the
second one,
And-
Yeah.
because
because I
Cha
think it
Cha
helped them
and-
set up
yeah
for what they
Hazel
wanted to do.
Hazel and Cha Cha were not
in the first one.
in the first one.
Yeah,
They're in the
Right,
second
exactly.
graphic novel, and they're in the first series, the first season. I really like the way, like, I think the show's almost better than like the book. Like,
Well, yeah. Well, it has more time, room to breathe.
right.
Some
And
cases,
the book
yeah.
seems very simple, and they've
It does.
really done. This is like the perfect way to like take a concept from a comic book with characters and do something almost completely totally different. Because like Vanya, like she's like after the first book, like she's comatose for like
Yeah.
the second series and the third series, and they totally flipped that.
Yeah.
Like with the second season, I mean, she has an actual role
Well,
in the
as
her
my-
character was so much better developed in the show, obviously.
yeah.
Well, but my wife even found in the second season that Vanya, she felt like was a better character in
Mhm.
general,
Yeah.
too, than the first season. She felt like she was just kind of either whiny or just, whatever type thing in the first season.
Yeah, she was
In
kind
the
of
second
like a whiner.
season, she has a bit more of a, even though she has amnesia in a way, still
Right.
has a bit more to do, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. And I really like Klaus. Like he's one of my favorite characters, especially in season 2.
Yeah.
And he's not that
Well, see, that
big
was
of
my
a character
problem
in the book, but
in the first season. I don't know, even between Klaus and I think some of the others, where they were always going, they were building the characters, type stuff and saying what they were doing, and things. But I think that's where I felt like some things got a little slow, in some cases. In the case of Klaus especially.
Yeah.
Well, I like that character. They spent, I know, one whole episode in season 1, or maybe it
They
just
did his
didn't.
back
You're right, where it just didn't grab me on that particular character for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But in the second season, I did find it seems, thanks to what they did probably in the setup of the first season, what happens to, have you watched the second season? What happens to him in the second season is like, oh wow, you went right to, you've built this character and he did shit that you would totally expect this character to do, you know, that you've built. Does that make sense the way I'm saying it? Yeah. So it's I found it enjoyable, with a lot of that.
Now,
and I actually found the guy, almost all the characters I found more enjoyable in the second season than I did the first season, for whatever reason. You know, even the big ape guy, Luther or whatever, he's even got a little bit more where he's just not so just whine, type thing or whatever, and I thought that, Diablo, is that Diego. There you go. That he is actually a lot. He lightens up. I felt like in some ways, in the second season.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's kind of cool because like you've seen the end of the first one, and they time travel, but they all end up like in different
years.
Yeah, I think I caught that.
But yeah, it's kind of funny how they do their stuff. And I mean, the music in that is like perfect. I mean, you think like, I don't know that Gerard Way has hardly anything to do with it, but you would think that he would, just like with the music, because the music in that is almost like bam, bam, bam. I mean, they hit you with like a lot of music, you know what I mean, for different scenes and stuff.
The first season,
and it works really well.
Hazy Shade of Winter. He actually
right.
did that.
But I mean, as far as like
choosing the music.
Yeah, like choosing the music, and I really feel like it's an integral part of the TV show, rather than like we're just gonna throw in some music for like a fight scene or a soundtrack. I mean, it feels like to me like it works really well. Like somebody put some thought into it, like some more thought than normal. And I just wonder with his musical influence if he has anything to do with that, or if it's just showrunners and it just has his name on there.
I'm sure he's influenced.
But no, I mean, I really liked the second season. It cracks me up because like they all get in the room, and it's like the end of the world. They missed a little bit of a spoiler. Like they missed their time jump. Like the shit's hitting the fan. And they're all, 5 or 6 of them are in one room, and they still can't stop arguing. They're just like fighting. They're like, no, I want to go do this. And they're like, no, I want to go do this. And they're like, no, you listen to me. I want to do this. And then Bonnie's like, screw you guys. I'm leaving. I'm going to go do this. And I'm like, seriously? Like, I know you guys don't get along, but Jesus Christ, you can like sit together for 5 minutes in one room and just figure something out. Because it's like they never figure anything out. They all just, like, they talk. And then one of them walks off, and then the other one leaves, and then somebody else goes off, and then number 5 is like, well, shit, It's like, but that gets a little, because towards the end of season 2, where they're all in that room, and they right before Vanya leaves to go, and then they all come with her.
You're right.
I'm just like, really, seriously, like we're still there. You guys can't sit in a room and figure shit out.
Yeah,
but. They alluded to, and this won't really spoil anything, but
you keep spoiling stuff.
No, this doesn't. But did they ever?
Did.
Okay, fine.
Oh.
Did they ever allude in the books? Because I've read them and I don't. That what's his face? The main guy, the professor, the old guy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The guy who's teaching them, but
yeah. Reginald
Hargreaves.
Yeah, Reggie. Did they ever allude that he's an alien?
Yeah, apparently that was in the book.
That was
in the book. I just read that shit.
I don't think it was in the first, but I thought it was in the third.
Was it? It was in the third. But yeah, I think I saw it on like Wikipedia or something. Like I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, and I just read 2 and 3 like just this week, and I don't.
Do they talk about it in the show?
They make a reference to it.
Yeah.
Okay. The second season.
So yeah, supposedly that is a thing. But I don't remember it all either.
Yeah.
But that book was I almost had to read that book twice the first time because it's fairly, the way it's presented is fairly, they read fast, but there's a lot of information that you have to pick up as you go.
Right.
That's kind of alluded to, but it's not stated. Like there's not a lot of exposition.
Yeah.
So you really have to pay attention.
Yeah.
So the books are kind of written in that way.
It's almost like the show. It's perfect because it's not like a straight adaptation. and they take just enough out of the book for people that read the books that are fans, and they throw it in, and then they mix it up, and they make almost a whole new. I mean, they do make like a whole new different thing. You know what I mean? Like I'd almost rather, you know, like when they do a Spider-Man movie or a Batman movie or a Superman movie or whatever, it's like, don't give me like the straight adaptation. You know what I mean? Like mix it up a little bit. And I feel like this is a really good blend of like just taking the core and then just kind of making a whole new thing out of it.
Well, when I watched the show, I hadn't read the book for like 5-10 years.
I had neither.
Or whatever, so I didn't even remember much of the book.
Right.
So you watch the show, it's like I kind of remember some of this, but I have no idea if it's the same or it follows the story. I mean,
Yeah.
so.
But anyway, that's
Who went to go see the New Mutants?
I didn't. I want to. I really want to see it. I know you guys are gonna laugh at me, but I'm a huge New Mutants fan. I heard that the movie is okay. It might be terrible.
I'm
I
sure it's
still
fine.
would like to see it.
No, I'd like to see
I heard
it.
it was okay.
Yeah.
Pretty predictable.
It only made like what
7 million?
10 million, I
Or
think
7.
they said.
Yeah, but it's to be expected because
Half the theaters are closed.
the theaters are
Have you guys-
still.
Heard about this? What is it? 800 Men or whatever. This movie, it's like
Oh, the Chinese one?
the Chinese one.
Yeah.
It's made
The
like
800?
$300 million.
That's all in
or
China.
whatever.
That's
That's
all
a
in China
lot
where
of
they don't have
freaking
the
money.
virus.
Well, their theaters are open and they have over 1 billion people.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. And then this Tenet, that kind of looks interesting, I guess.
It
Or it
does.
sounds interesting.
Apparently you can't hear it though, so that's a
I
problem.
heard you couldn't hear it, and it was
Why can't you hear it?
taking itself too seriously.
Because fucking Christopher Nolan doesn't know how to do a sound mix, apparently.
Huh.
Yeah, people were complaining that they couldn't hear the actors or
And Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted. The drive-in's got some, good things going on there. They got like the double feature of New Mutants with Bill and Ted.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, it was this
Wow.
weekend, and then
Holy crap, you can go to the drive-in.
I do need to get it.
Yeah,
Right, 'cause
the
I want to
other-
see both of those movies.
the other screen has the Russell Crowe movie. With,
I heard that was horrible.
with
Dad was talking about that.
whatever the hell we were just talking about, Tenet.
Tenet.
Yeah,
Oh. I thought somewhere said that Tenet couldn't go to the drive-in if there were theaters around that could play.
Mm.
maybe
I read
it
that.
shouldn't, but it's not like our drive-in has exactly been
It's true.
the best on obeying the rules. They were also the ones that like showed the damn Kansas City Chiefs games or something, playoff games, and then got
Do you go to the drive-in Metallica concert?
No. That was like, I get it. It was like $120 or $140 carload.
it is pricey.
For the
That-
Metallica thing?
what the- yeah. The
What?
Brooks
Yeah.
one was like that
To watch
too.
a concert on a
Yep.
screen is $140?
Per carload, and you could get like, I think it was 4, 5, 6 people maybe. So
I don't
if you
care.
get 6 people,
And you divide that up. And
That's
it's a
still
little cheaper.
$25 a
it's
person.
$25 a person. Yeah, it was like
I can buy
100.
Milan for $30.
It was
The same
100.
thing was happening with Garth Brooks when he did his too. I mean, it was something
That's
in which it was costing.
insane.
Like,
Well, and then they did that comedy tour, which was actually live. They did it at the drive-in at Burt
I
Kreischer.
thought the Metallica concert would be free.
no. Well, I thought it was just going to be the standard,
Drive-in
drive-in
cost.
fee, yeah.
No,
But no,
I'm
they're
surprised
doing all
anybody
these-
was there.
They're
they-
doing all these concerts like that, and the cost is like, freaking 30, 50, 100 and something. It's just like, holy
Can't
crap.
somebody just like go and stream it on their phone?
probably. The other thing though too with the drive-in, it was like you could have 6 people, and they gave you like 4 free downloads of the new album or whatever.
There's a new album.
An album.
I want an effing Metallica T-shirt.
You could buy it for $60 probably. That's what they
Probably
used to do.
sure.
Is set up.
On their website.
Can't believe that.
Yeah, it was
It's
crazy.
expensive
Yeah, it is.
It is.
for a friggin' teleconcert.
But that's
I guess we should talk about some comics.
that's all I have.
One thing before we do that, though, wrapping back around to Mr. Bozeman there. What do you think that, Chadwick there,
Oh yeah. Oh, I want to talk about one other news.
what do you think that Marvel should do with Black Panther now, the future
I
of
don't
that?
know.
I've been seeing
Everybody's
articles
got an
about that.
opinion.
Yeah, and obviously there's even petitions going out there that says,
Don't
hey,
recast
Marvel,
it.
do not, that character is gone, type thing. If you don't replace him, just the same character with a new actor, now if you want somebody else to take up the Black Panther mantle, it should be a new character, a different, be like his sister.
That's
or somebody
interesting.
else.
I don't know. I mean, Heath Ledger died, and we still have new
We still have
Jokers.
millions of Jokers.
But
Although it's not an exact, type thing.
it's not exact. I don't know. It's interesting that people feel that way. I think it's an initial gut reaction. I think
sure.
if you give them some time. But someone in the comics, like his sister took over at some point as the Black Panther mantle. So, I mean, they could do that, and then it would maybe make people not upset. And you also have the female. And so, I mean, I think it hit check a lot of boxes. But I don't know. I don't know what they should do. I mean, I think it'd be weird to recast it this soon. And I don't know who you would recast it as, because he's kind of like Black Panther, and now that he's passed away.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be tricky. I'd probably just let that. I don't know.
Weren't they
Just let it die.
Didn't they have a Black Panther 2 slated?
Yes,
Yeah, they did. It was on the schedule.
Although they hadn't even started any filming
any
at all.
filming or pre-production.
They were all in the pre-production of doing the storyboarding, still writing the script,
Right.
all that type of stuff. They were bringing back the same director. I can't think of his name. Like Ryan something, I think. But
Ryan Coogler.
yes, there you go.
Ryan Coogler.
But,
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, it seems like people don't want them to recast it.
at least at this point. But I just wondered, even from a Marvel perspective,
Yeah, I can see them.
especially with as much as how Chadwick. I mean, he really was an icon for that role, in a way.
Yeah, the problem with going with the sister in the comics, the sister's kind of a pain in the ass. Like, she's almost like not a good character. Like, she's almost like a bad person.
Oh, really?
So,
But the movie she's not.
in the movie, she's not. So, I mean, they could go any direction.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options. I think the whole, don't recast this. It's like, well, I mean, we have a cinematic tradition of recasting people.
Well, and you're exactly right. It's not like even Marvel hasn't done it already before in cinematic universe.
Correct.
You look at what the
War
John
Machine,
Shield
yeah.
type thing.
But
Hulk,
I mean,
know,
that role meant a lot to a lot of people anyway. And then with him passing away, I think it is a sensitive subject. So I understand.
very true.
It'll be interesting to see what they end up doing.
I think that they did so well with trying. And for me, I did enjoy that movie. Yeah, but I felt like they did so well of trying to be something that was, how do you put it? Good for that, for something that could be a very strong subject matter. That type of thing. I mean, it is a black superhero that is not tradition. It has never been, in that kind of leading role type of perspective, and they found a way to, I think, bring something not only that was popular for the masses, but also very endearing to that culture, as well. And writing that line, I think, it had to be tough. And I felt like they did a good job on that. And so, yes, with that, I don't know that, they have a lot of thoughts now. I just was curious from your guys' perspective, what you kind of thought about it, because that is what seems to be trending in the news, right now.
I don't have a strong opinion. I mean, like I said,
I don't either. And I'm the wrong person to ask, because whatever I say, it's probably not going to be.
It's true.
Politically.
Well, that is very true. It is
very
a sensitive subject,
correct.
In general.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a strong opinion.
I don't have a strong
And
opinion
especially
one
for
way or
us
the
of
other.
the white man privilege, we do have to
That's true.
probably watch some of that. But
Yeah, it is an interesting question. It's interesting to see what they'll do. I don't know.
okay.
I mean,
I don't have a solution. If I did, I'd email Disney right now.
My feeling is,
Well, and Kevin Feige probably wouldn't take it anyway. I'm sure he's got his own plan.
it's a movie character, it's a comic book character. It's not like, I don't know. It's not.
I mean, they should be able to recast it if they
Boom.
want.
It's not like the end of the world. It's not like sacred, holy, untouchable. I mean,
a bigger problem is if they ever recast Iron Man. I don't know how they're ever going to do that. Robert Downey Jr. is so good as Iron Man.
yeah, that's true. So, I mean, I don't know.
I'm still angry that they went to the Han Solo movie with the recasting.
What?
It didn't work for me.
Anyway.
Oh, so Kickstarter, real quick. So apparently the way to make a really successful comic book is to get Keanu Reeves to help write it.
I was going to talk to you about, oh my God.
Did you see
I
that?
did hear that.
All right,
yes.
so Boom Studios decided to publish a comic, and it's got Keanu Reeves is co-writing it with Matt Kent, and they've got an artist, Ron Garney, I think is actually
Ron Garney.
And so they're putting this comic book out, which I'm like, that's a cool thing, you know. They're putting it. Well, they decided to do a Kickstarter for it, which is brilliant. At first, I thought it was dumb because I'm like, well, you're just going to publish the comic, but it's going to reach all the people who like Keanu Reeves but don't give a crap about comic books.
Yes.
So the Kickstarter in like 24 hours, or just over 24 hours, it started yesterday, like at, I don't know, noon or 10 or whatever. It's already up to like, what, 400,000 or something?
Wow. When I looked at it this morning, it was like $290,000.
Yeah, so it's just like.
And the top tier, which was like, you get yourself in the comic book.
Up to 423,000.
But you got like breakfast with Keanu or something.
No, not even that. You have to be in the comic.
You get to be in the comic book, and it's like.
Scott Snyder?
Go real live again.
Cool. Like the Scott Snyder.
Keanu Reeves.
The Scott Snyder and the Tony Daniel one. It's only at like what
160?
160.
Yeah.
If it's that, but yeah, it's crazy.
That is crazy. So yeah, apparently that's the way you do a successful Kickstarter. You get a famous actor to help make your comic book.
You get Keanu
So
Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, that's true. What I don't get, here's my thing. It's like, so Matt Kent is writing it or helping. I'm guessing he's doing most of the heavy lifting as far as writing.
Too.
Not that Keanu Reeves can't write. I'm just saying.
Is it about some weird spy network or something? If Matt Kent.
No,
I think
it's like an immortal warrior. It's like John Wick if he was immortal kind of thing.
John
And
Wick
then
isn't immortal.
And Ron Garney, I'm guessing, is mostly work for hire or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe they're paying him really well. So who's getting the money from this Kickstarter?
It's Boom.
It's Boom and Keanu, I think, are getting the lion's share.
Boom is the one that's running the Kickstarter.
Well, I know, but I'm sure Keanu's like, I get my cut.
Well, they'll charge him. He'll charge $1,000 for each signature he has to
Yeah,
sign.
whatever.
Maybe
But
something like
you
that.
know, so it's like it's kind of, I don't know. From a comic book fan, it's like, man, I hope they're making Matt Kent and Ron Garney a good deal because I know they're not the draw, but they are like the workhorse. You know what I mean?
Right, but I mean, their deals got to be.
Is it creator-owned type of?
Nah, I don't think. I'm sure Keanu Reeves owns it.
You think so?
Well,
I'm sure Boom and Keanu Reeves have a partnership. I'm sure Matt Kent isn't in the ownership column there.
They just brought him in to write, huh?
I think it seems like it was Keanu Reeves' idea. They asked him, hey, you want to make a comic book? And he had this idea, and they brought in Matt Kent to kind of help flesh it out and make it into like a... Because, like I said, nothing is Keanu Reeves. I don't know that he's ever written a comic book script.
From an IP perspective, it's coming from Keanu. And so
Boom.
to your point, it's probably Keanu.
I don't know.
Boom.
I just wonder how soon we're going to have the movie. I mean, how can you not make a movie, right?
Right.
I mean, it's got to be a movie.
I would assume.
They'll
yeah.
kickstart
It's like the old guard meets John Wick. That's what it looks like.
They'll kickstart it. They'll kickstart the movie.
I don't think
Either
so.
that or they'll sell the movie rights to Netflix.
Yes.
I think the Wachowski brothers are going to make it.
The sisters.
Wachowski sisters, sorry.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Comic books. Let's talk about Sweet Tooth. I want to hear what Scott thought. He probably read all this before.
Well, I had read a big chunk of it before. I had read the first trade before.
Yes.
So-
just the first trade?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this is twice that.
And so this is twice that. And I don't exactly know, though. I mean, reading it, so I don't know. You talked about the basic premise of this, I think, last time we were on here. So I hopefully shouldn't have to repeat that, but it's
Sure.
post-apocalyptic type of thing. Sweet Tooth himself, gets picked up by what was his name, Jesseth or whatever, like that type stuff. And then dropped off at the whatever the hell, they were supposed to be, whatever they were calling it, I don't remember, but basically at the ranch or something. But they had like some term that he thought
The
they
farm.
were going to.
Is it the farm?
Well, it was the farm, but that wasn't what Sweet
Okay.
Tooth thought it was. He
Gotcha.
thought he was going to some saving place.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
That was a rumor.
The laboratory.
But instead, they take him to this farm, or whatever, where there's,
They've got all the
experimenting
mutants.
on these kids and whatever else, because they're trying to find the magic cure to whatever the hell weird virus is taking out all these people. But what's interesting is that he gets him to that place at the farm or the lab, I think fairly early. I mean, it's like 4 issues in. And
Yeah, it happens pretty quick.
yeah, it happens really quick. The thing moves at a breathtaking pace, and I thought that was where the first trade had ended, but maybe I'm read maybe there was an issue or two after that, but it just didn't seem like after that there was a good stopping spot either. So I don't know how far I had really read before, but I remember at least that much before of this kid with antlers gets picked up by this other person, gets taken to this place that's not what he thought it was, and he's basically, a lab rat, type of thing. So from that point, then everything else was kind of new to me because either I had forgotten it or whatever else, it was new. So the amazing thing with this is it reads so freaking fast.
Oh, I know.
Holy crap! I mean, it's so thick, and quite honestly, maybe it doesn't read as fast.
Because you've been reading Sandman.
Yeah, maybe that's a big chunk of it. But I think some of it is the fact that it's a book though also that is moving at a fast pace. So it's got that page turning ability of, oh, where is this going? That type of thing. Where he's building the characters and this mystery just enough that it wants you to keep going. So while something like that, I'm a slow reader anyway because I sometimes take the time to maybe look at the art or what they're doing, and stuff and different things. And sometimes I may reread things just to make sure I fully comprehend it. But anyway, something like this probably did end up taking me like 2 hours to read, which probably you would be 30 minutes. So
I don't know. It's still 12 issues.
Yeah, it's still 12 issues.
It's not going to go that fast.
So,
And there's some text parts.
I did find, though, that it for me, it felt quick, the type of thing.
That's the thing. It takes 2 hours, but but it flowed so well, and it felt like you were engaged the whole time.
That's right, exactly.
And it didn't feel like 2 hours.
Yeah. So I do enjoy it, but I thought it was something that I might, because I do like Lemire's work a lot of times. The only problem that I think I have with Lemire is maybe similar to what is the other one? Why the Last Man?
Oh yeah,
type of thing, in which they have a certain darkness, with they like to throw in some humor, but overall the story a lot of times and what they're dealing with is kind of in a dark realm, of things. So they balance it, Lemire balances it very well, I think, in some cases, but you just get the feeling that this isn't going to be exactly the happiest of stories.
Sure.
Type stuff. But I think his art style, goes well with that too.
Yeah.
The thing with his art is interesting to me because it's not an art style that I would typically
be attracted
to. Yeah. But it works in the stories he likes to tell, strangely enough. Do you?
Yeah, I agree. It's not like I'd see a commission by Lemire and be, oh, that's a great that's a cool drawing.
Yeah, exactly right.
But he's a great storyteller, and he evokes the emotions and the moods.
And that's the key, I think, that you hit on there, where he can invoke that emotion that he wants through the art of it. The one thing I've got to give him credit for is that I do find that the majority of his characters anyway look different enough that you can tell, between, oh, that's Jessup talking and not, somebody else, or whatever else. Or even in this case, of the kids, that are all different, with being mixed with different type of animal attributes, and things. But I think even when I read Royal City, I felt kind of that way too. I never had a problem of telling which character was which, and things. So I've got to give him credit there because some artists, tend to have a certain style that sometimes can make that.
Yeah, it can.
So
I think it comes down to when they design the characters. Like when you design the characters, you want them to be distinctive enough to where you draw them in all different situations that they're going to be easily distinguished by the reader.
Yeah, and I think he does a good job of doing that as well.
I agree.
But I'd be interested to read more of it. Although I do admit that I read the little spoiler thing there at the back a little bit, type stuff. I don't know why. Probably because I am one of those people that can sometimes go to the back of the novel.
They put spoiler stuff in the back?
They did. It's a little brief paragraph. So.
And there's a warning at the top.
Yeah, there is a warning.
Scott didn't heed the warning.
Because you turn to that page and it tells you a little bit there. But right
that
there.
red box right there. Is it? Warning. The following. Where's the warning?
Pitch.
But that whole first page is not really spoilerific. That's basically what happens in the first book that you're holding there.
Yeah.
The second page
is where the spoilers
are. And it's like pretty brief though. I mean, it's like one paragraph type of thing.
Yeah. Well, sometimes he changes his crap too by the time you get there anyway. So.
Yeah, which could be. So you never know. But, here again, much to me like Why the Last Man, and say like a show like Lost, and these type of things in which, for me, if the journey is enjoyable and something that that I'm buying into and that I'm having fun with or whatever else I'm interested in, the ending, if it doesn't really hit the mark for me, isn't that big of a deal because I enjoyed the journey to get there. And I feel like Sweet Tooth is in that realm of things. I talked about this with Why the Last Man, I think last time, while I'm not a huge fan of that ending, I felt like it was a place where that book could lead because he gave you enough, hints throughout, that this may not necessarily be a happy ending in this book. And it didn't exactly have the happiest of endings in that book, type of perspective. But that journey getting there was so enjoyable that I don't, hey, how do you wrap up something like that? It is what it is.
Yeah.
Even when it was the Paper Girls, when we had that, the Paper Girls, it's still solid ending, type stuff. But the journey getting there so much, I thought was so well done that, while maybe, I think the ending on Paper Girls is a little bittersweet, in some perspectives because of the fact that some things about these girls' future maybe in some ways, but also the characters are so well done and everything else that you almost were sorry to see it end. In some respects.
The second time I read Paper Girls, I really liked the ending.
Did you really like it?
It really worked for me. I think the first time I was a little let down.
Have to read it twice.
You just have to read it.
Well, I think because I read it all at once, but you probably read it.
I
all
enjoyed
at
it.
once.
Close.
So
I didn't have a problem with the ending.
This has a really
the
good
first time
ending.
I read it.
You didn't have a problem with the ending?
I don't think you'll be.
I don't know that I really had a problem with it. I just, like I said, the ending of that is a little bit more. I mean, it's typical, of that. God, what was the writer? I'm so much on there. Yes, Brian K. Vaughan. That Brian K. Vaughan, I think, tends to like that little bit of a bittersweet type of thing. Slightly, not really. I don't want to say tragic, but not exactly the happiest of endings. And Paper Girls has some of that. I mean, it's the thing with Paper Girls was I felt like it had a bit more of a ending where it was like hope, type of things or whatever else.
It was
optimistic. And yes, it did have a little bit of an optimistic vibe there, although you still knew certain things maybe that were going to happen with these girls' future that wasn't the best, either. So, cool. Anyway, I digressed from there. But anyway, Sweet Tooth,
I think you'll like the ending.
So,
it's not what you expect.
That's good. That's good. It's not what it's.
Well, you read the spoiler warning.
Well, I don't know if that's right.
I think it probably is for the most part, but it seemed like it was a fairly.
Oh, you had a bookmark in there.
More bookmark. That's just my binding slip.
I figured you were using that as a bookmark.
I am not.
Eagle.
I read Eagle. This is a omnibus Eagle. This is an old 80s black and white comic.
Holy crap.
It was kind of in the whole ninja boom that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles kind of started. But the art is above average, I would say. It's by Neil Vokes and Rich Rankin.
Love Neil Vokes.
Do you?
They had a funny story. I guess Neil Vokes was a good penciler and Rich Rankin was a good inker, and they were both trying to do both, and neither one was good at the others. So they said, hey, let's get together. I'll pencil and you ink. And so that's what they did. And they did this whole run. This is one of my favorite pages. I put it on Instagram, and Neil Vokes I tagged Neil Vokes, and he commented on it.
Nice.
There's a Grindle in there. I didn't notice that. He pointed that out. Look, it's Grindle with the little pronged thing there. Yeah. He said he was just too lazy to draw all the ninjas, is all he remembers. But yeah, this is a fun old 80s black and white book. I mean, the story is kind of cool. It's like, it looks like a ninja book, but then when you get into it, it's like...
magic, sorcery.
Well, there's magic, and there's also science fiction. Like, I guess
you remember this very well?
Back in, like, the 1800s, there was some, like, alien race that tried to take over, and then they've, like, integrated into society, and there's, like, science fiction-y stuff.
Cylons.
I remember nothing about this book except the cool artwork.
Yeah, the artwork's really fun.
And I don't have the whole run.
And they get really fun pinups by people. One of them had Eric Larson doing one of them, but then later on they had a Tim Vigil one in there, which was pretty cool. But
I don't even own all 18.
But it's like 23 issues.
23, I don't
but
know.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's definitely a thing of its time. Like, I mean, it feels dated, the writing style is a little older, sometimes it feels like it kind of drags a little too much exposition, more showing, less telling type of thing. But it's pretty funny. They got like a whole backstory for this character.
They have Shuriken.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a really, really fun, good old 80s black and white book. They just don't make them quite like this anymore.
It's got a lot of
I like the
words.
art
Did it
though,
read
yeah.
fast?
Yeah, it doesn't read that fast, and at some points it was kind of like a grind. Like I knew I wanted to get done for the podcast, and I had like 6 issues. I was like, man, it's taking me about 10 minutes per issue. I'm gonna have to just sit down for like an hour and just
read this.
knock this thing out.
Man,
That's what I did. I sat down and I knocked it out.
if I knew I didn't have a ton of shit to read, I'd
You would borrow that,
because
yeah.
I really want to read it and look at the artwork.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's a good little series. Like I said, of all the 80s black and white
Mine.
series, this is one of the ones that I think kind of holds up better than a lot of them,
I might have to take
But-
it with me for research.
Well, you're welcome to borrow it. Like I said, I'm done with it, so you're welcome to borrow it. But yeah, that was my main thing that I read over the last couple weeks.
I
See,
read
my
a
problem is it's fantasy football season. now,
Oh, you got
I've been-
fantasy football.
I have to like studied up on that, some of that.
I read a lot of stuff, but I didn't finish a lot of stuff. Like I
Mm.
started a lot of stuff. I did read. So
So,
I've been seeing like I read Venom. I got caught up on Venom.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the free Spider-Man free comic book day kind of ties directly into
Does it
like,
really?
one of the issues.
Is
but,
that from this year?
Yeah, yeah.
Stegman did it.
I just got this.
Wow. Where'd you
Um,
get it at?
Where I buy my comics online.
Were you so they just sent it online or whatever type thing or whatever? It's
Yeah,
a thing,
the way it
a
works
promotion?
is when free comic book day gets close, you get to pick like so many free comic book days.
Because aren't well, I guess okay. So because
they're a
this year,
retailer.
what the hell happened with free comic books?
So-
are different places? Well, it got
they're
overall
just like
canceled.
give them out over
It's-
time.
Is
it's
that what they're
supposed
doing?
to
It seemed
be-
like some places were like, "Hey, we're going to do a free comic book day weekend." You know,
Yeah,
and
it's
things-
very just
It's-
it's just
scattershot.
haphazard. Okay.
It's
Yeah, very haphazard. That's a
supposed
good
to
word.
be like free comic book month or 2 months or summer, where you're only supposed to put out like 2 or 3 books like every weekend or every Wednesday.
Okay.
I talked to one of the comic book shops around here and they explained it to me. There's a couple other comic book shops which, according to them, just did whatever they wanted and threw everything out, which
Okay.
is not what they're supposed to do because they're supposed to spread it out so that people come back every week.
Well, I was just disappointed because I kind of missed out on.
Yeah,
that.
there wasn't an
Yeah,
actual
There
free
wasn't like a
comic book
totally
day.
this year.
Not
Yeah.
really. It seems like a few people tried to have them,
Right.
but it didn't.
So I do enjoy Venom. It's Donny Cates has been writing it, and
yeah.
this run is Mark Bagley on artwork, so
Oh, so it's really good.
that's pretty good. But the main thing is I kept seeing like on where I get alerts from where I buy my comics, and it was like second printing of Venom number 24 or 25 or whatever, third printing of Venom 24
Oh, so
or
what
25.
happened?
And I'm like, what the F is going on? Well,
They
apparently
introduced a new character,
they introduced a new character.
a new symbiote.
Yeah, well, sorta. I don't know. It's like it's named Toxin or
Oh, okay.
but it's almost he's like a hybrid of the Green Goblin and a symbiote, like a Venom and a Green Goblin like combination type of thing. It's
Who does that art? Is that Bagley?
no, this is Coelho.
Yeah.
Bagley did like up to
That's
25,
fine.
I
I
think.
didn't
But
distract
no, you're fine. I was just trying to, and the thing was, whatever issue they had, like all these that was doing all these printings. It didn't even seem like it was the first appearance of him. Virus. It's Virus,
not
and
Toxin.
he looks like no,
I really thought
and
it
he
was
looks
something.
kind of like a
Green Goblin, but with a
Goblin or symbiote, like a yeah,
Almost.
and he's got pumpkin bombs and all kinds of stuff. But that's why. And the other book that I've been seeing is Thor, like Thor number 4 or 5. Apparently, they're supposed to introduce like a new character in that book too, and so
Wow.
it's gone.
And that's
to,
also a
like,
Donny Cates book.
yes, Donny
Apparently, they
Cates.
bribed him to create some new
So
characters
right,
for them.
and so I kind of wanted to start the conversation because I was listening. I've been listening to a few interviews lately, and I don't remember who it was, but they were like, you know, even back in the '90s or whatever, like Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee and like Rob Liefeld and like all the Image guys, like they kept they're new creations, and creators are doing that now. And like it brought me back to like conversation we had like maybe a couple years ago. But you're like, what's the most successful? Like, what's the last
created character?
new created
Deadpool and Venom.
character? Deadpool and Venom. And
Harley
they're like,
Quinn.
Harley Quinn,
Those are
and
the
they're
three.
like 30 years old, and it's like because everybody now with the image model, nobody wants to create anything new, and that's part. I think that's
Well, Rob Liefeld said back when he created Deadpool and he created all of his stuff, that Jim Shooter had a thing in where you got a chunk of that. So you owned a part of that character you created, and that was an incentive to create stuff.
right.
So Rob Liefeld owns a chunk of Deadpool. Every time
Right.
there's a Deadpool comic or a Deadpool movie or whatever, he gets a chunk.
Yeah,
It's not a large chunk, but a little chunk, but
Right.
it adds up. Well, I don't think there's any incentives like that now
Yeah.
for Marvel because they're a big corporation now. They don't want to give any kind of
Right.
ownership, so nobody's creating anything new.
yeah, exactly.
Why would they?
Right.
Exactly
Why
right.
not just plug along?
Although
with-
now you have
plug-
Punchline at DC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it seems like
Pretty
there's like
popular there.
they're trying, but they're all such derivative characters.
I know.
Like this, or what's his name? Poison,
What did I
toxin.
say?
I don't know. Venom, virus, and Punchline. It's like a Harley Quinn kind of Joker thing, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Which that, yeah, because I don't.
they're the worst. I mean, not that Deadpool and Venom were super like original, but they kind of were. Like Deadpool, I know he's like a combination of Spider-Man and kind of Wolverine or whatever.
Right, yeah.
I get it, and he looks just like Deathstroke, whatever.
right.
And talks just like him. I understand. But like Venom, I mean, that was kind of an original idea. Hey, here's a symbiote. It's like this super crazy.
No,
evil
yeah, it
Spider-Man.
was.
Yeah.
I mean, Venom was an original. I mean,
not original. It's somewhat derivative, but it was still kind of new and different.
right.
These things just seem like derivative of derivatives.
Yeah.
But whatever.
It is.
What do
But
I
there's
know?
somewhat of that nostalgia factor there
Sure.
that they try
Hey,
to tap
man.
into, I'm sure, with some of it.
People are buying it up.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, Venom.
Venom.
It's all right.
So Kate's is still writing it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So I think like the Thor one, I haven't read it yet, but I think it's supposed to be like. So the thing with this is, there's this, and I think it started like in a Thor, maybe in another Thor book, but it or no, it was Cosmic Ghost Rider. No, Black Silver Surfer. Sorry, it's Donny
No, you're
Cates.
all good,
So it's
yeah.
Black Silver Surfer. There's this character called like Null or Kroll. He's supposed to be like the badass like father of all symbiotes or whatever, like the god of symbiotes or whatever.
Nice.
Really?
And he was introduced like in the Black Silver Surfer.
Gotcha.
Well, this Thor issue, because I went into Hero Haven and I was talking because I'm like, what's going on with Thor number 4 or 5? Why is it all blah blah blah? And what's going on with Venom? And why is it blah blah? And he's like, yeah, there's a new character. And he was saying that it was the first appearance of that Kroll or Null or whatever the hell his name is. And I'm like, no, he was in Silver Surfer Black or whatever. He's like, I guess not, because now it's this. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. It's like now, I don't know how many first appearances we have. And that's another thing, like, the comic book industry, it's like nobody buys comic books to read them now. It's all collectors. Like, oh
Man,
my god,
it's all
this is the first.
speculation.
Yeah, it's all speculation. It's like we're back in the friggin' 90s.
Well, you buy the comics to read them, but then you don't read them.
Well, I do, but I don't go out and just buy a comic book because it's like,
I know.
ooh, it's Thor
That's what I'm
number 4.
saying.
It's
You
the
buy
first
them to read
appearance.
them, but you don't read them.
Right. But I don't know. It
But
just,
he will someday when he retires.
There's two kind of comic book collectors now. There's the guys who buy them to read them but don't read them, and there's guys who buy them because they think they're hot and
For
they're gonna
speculation,
for speculation.
right.
Nobody actually buys them and reads them.
Just reading.
That's ridiculous.
Basically, they buy them, they send them to get them
I'm
graded,
so- right.
and they have it framed for years.
There's those
until
guys,
they
and
can-
there's the guys like you who buy them and then don't read them.
Those
are the two types of comic books.
Nobody reads comics anymore.
No,
It's
nobody
very-
actually reads them.
I was on
With that.
Facebook.
Some people buy them to read them and don't.
And they have like the CBR or whatever, Newsarama,
Yeah.
and it was about the Eternals.
Oh yeah, they upped the price on
They
it.
upped the price on it, so there's like they're doing a new Eternals comic because the movie.
The movie. Oh, it's got Esau Ribic. I'd almost buy that crap.
And they upped the price, but didn't up the page count.
Uh-huh.
And so the question was, will you buy this book? It has like 37 variant covers.
Oh my
Oh.
gosh!
That sounds awesome.
37 variant covers.
Are you gonna collect them all?
No, like
Oh,
they're $5 a pop, but that's like somebody was saying
they're
they're
only
like,
$5 a piece.
yeah, they're $5. Well, the cover price is $5. I'm sure with the variant covers, you're gonna have a 1 in 20, a 1 in
Well,
50,
like that
a 1 in
detective-
100, a 1 in 250.
Detective 1000, wasn't that like?
It had 10 covers.
But how many
And
people
they
are
were
going to
$10
buy
a
that?
piece.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking like 100 and freaking 80 some
If it's only
or
cover
whatever.
price, if you're only paying cover price, but a lot of those variants are going to be
Well, they
1
don't
in
have,
20, 1 in 50, 1 in
Yeah,
100.
so the-
They're not going to be cover
they
price.
don't have girlfriends.
They
Where they
won't be
gonna, what else are they
cover
gonna
price.
spend their money
It's
on?
like, Jesus Christ, you could probably spend $1,000 on 37 different variant covers
Yeah.
for Eternals #1.
Can I? That sounds awesome.
Oh my God, I'm just
I'm gonna have them all. I'm gonna put them like on my wall and be like, look, I have all the variant covers
right.
of Eternals, and the movie's gonna
So-
hit. Oh, the movie poster like right in the middle, have all the variant.
So
There you go.
somebody
It'll be
was
like a
That sounds like something I
shrine
would
to the
do.
Eternals.
somebody commented.
Did
They
you see
said-
my house?
it was
It's right
your-
in Star Wars.
That's true.
It was your theory. They were like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would they raise the price of the first issue? They should make the first issue a lower price to get people to buy it, so then that they'll get hooked and then they'll continue to buy the series. And somebody
I think what they learned is nobody actually
Nobody
continues to buy this.
Nobody
continues
reads
to
it.
buy
Well,
it.
no one's
That's
gonna
what
read it, so they're not gonna get hooked.
They're like, this book's probably going to be a steaming POS.
It's
So
gonna make a ton
But
of
the
money.
problem
man.
is
It's
nobody will know
only
because
gonna
they won't read it.
right. It's only going to make it to like 6 issues. It's going to be canceled, so they have to cash in on the
It's
first
not-
issue.
there's no long
There's
game.
no- there's no
Someone
No.
thought there was a long
Somebody
game.
thought there was a long game.
That's so silly. It's the cash grab. Ever since Star Wars 1 came out and they made all that money, they're like, dude, we just make big #1 issues. Who cares what happens after that? We made all our cash on the first
Right.
issue.
I know.
That's
That's
probably
sad.
true.
It's the market.
Did anybody else have anything else?
I got nothing. Drew might, though.
I don't really have much.
I just had one thing that I just quickly
God.
wanted to talk. I got caught up on Savage
I just
Dragon.
read 251.
So I read 240. Well, I'm not caught up then. I
Damn
read
it.
248, 249, and 250, which. So
Got the crappy
think-
cover for 250.
I did. But it's Simonson.
It is cool, but
It's like
that's not
no,
the
no,
one I
no,
would have
like
chosen.
it's solicited. I don't see the pictures. I just see the names.
Simonson.
And I saw.
We got
Excuse
the
me.
Frank show.
I saw Simonson,
Which
and
one
I'm
did
like,
you get?
ooh,
The Larson
Simonson.
one.
Oh, did you?
I'm like Simonson. That'll be cool
It's
to
probably
see
the lowest
Simonson on
produced one
Savage
of all.
Dragon.
Maybe.
It wasn't as cool to see him on Savage Dragons as I thought it would be. But
Because he drew the kids.
well, Dragon's in there.
That's true.
But anyway, yeah, I should just stick with the Larson always. But
Oh no, it's kind of cute.
whatever issue 249, the one where, or maybe it's 250. Is 250 the COVID, where it's like this day we do this, and then this day we do that.
Yeah, I
and
think
then it's
so.
like, I think it's 250, which 250 is great. I don't want to pay $10 for just 20 pages of Savage Dragon and then a bunch of
extra
villain
stuff. There's
stories.
an Andy Kuhn story in there.
I know that was cool. I did want to I forgot about that. I did want to mention that. So shout out to Andy Kuhn.
Well, yeah, but he does that every kind of 25 issues.
Yeah.
You just suck it up if you want to buy it or not. I mean,
Well, no, I know, but
it's
what
part
I'm-
of the collecting Savage Dragon. You pay your $10 every 25.
And I
issues,
think-
and you suck it up.
and Eric Larson's kind of an old school guy. They probably did that with like anniversary issues where they just threw in a bunch of reprints or whatever and did it. But I mean, obviously I'm going to buy it.
And they're not even reprints; they're new stuff. It's just
Well,
stuff I
yeah,
don't really
it's
care
just-
about. It's periphery characters with these little short stories.
Yeah, and this one was like even most of the time.
I'm not even
I've
sure I read
them,
all of
I
them.
didn't either. I
I
skimmed
mean, I
through a lot of
read
it.
most of them, but
I skimmed through a lot of it, but that book is just I don't know, that whole thing with like the two spider chicks or whatever where they're flying around and
shooting stuff out there. Woo-woos.
shoot stuff out there. Ooh-hoos and
Hoo-haws,
hoo-haws.
hoo-haws.
And then
That's when
once his-
spiders shoot silk out their butts.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That's
Alan.
how it works. There
So
you
these
go.
spider chicks shoot out their hoo-haws.
When Dragon's talking to the Pete, and that's great. It's like Pete
Yeah, I didn't read
and
most of
and
these.
Janie, and it's like a total rip off of Spider-Man, obviously.
Yeah.
And when it's Savage is talking to him or whatever, and what's his wife's name?
Maxine?
Maxine comes in. She's like, "Are you watching porn?" And he's like, "No, I'm talking to Pete." She's like,
There's like spider chicks flying around shooting stuff out of their webbing out of their hoo-haws. He's like, yeah, that's just the spider chicks. That's it. It's like, I think she walks by and sees it or something. I'm just like, oh my god, that is so funny. She's like, why are you watching porn? I'm not watching porn. And then the whole joke with it, because that thing's gotten so adult, with Maxine's mom,
yes,
and the other guy that made the porn
sex tape.
The sex tape in Dragon Slash. She's watched it like 75 times. I can't get her to stop watching it, and because he's talking to the other chick, and she's like, "Are you gonna watch it?" She's like, "No, I'm not gonna watch it. Are you?" And he's like, "She's like, have you watched it?" He's like, "Yeah, I watched it. Okay, sorry, I watched it." But I don't know, it's funny. But they did do a thing where it's like, because he has, so his big thing is Savage Dragon is in real time when 30 days of 30 days go by, like 30 days in Savage Dragon go by, like it ages in real time. And so he had to address COVID. And so he didn't do it like 30 pages an issue, but it spread out. But it was like, what are we going to do today? And it's like, I don't know, we're locked up. So it's just them and the kids. And then like the next day it's the same thing, like them and the kids or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's kind of, I don't know, very surreal or...
Really good for the time.
Yeah, really good time. But no, Savage Dragon's good. Is 251 good? Well,
Yeah, it is.
the cliffhanger at the end is Dragon comes back.
Yeah,
or
like some
whatever.
alternate dimension dragon comes
Oh
back.
my god, we're in another alternate. I want to go back and this is what we should do.
Oh,
We
that's what I
should go
should get.
back. We should go back and reread Savage Dragon from issue 1. Like do it on the podcast.
You just give me a copy there too, and we just because
Yeah.
I've never. I mean, I've read probably
Oh,
very little.
Really?
I got my first 2 bound. My first 2
Bound?
Savage Dragons.
Dude, those are.
Why would
well,
you have
no,
done
actually,
that?
they're not money.
Volume 1.
I mean, I guess they sit on a shelf
Volume
better,
2.
but
They're not
You can't-
money.
you could hang up. You could plaster your wall with
Savage Dragon?
covers.
They're heavy too. They got weight to them.
So how much is in?
These
each
are
book?
newsprint though.
About 25.
25 issues per book.
Yeah, this one's a little thicker because it had the 3-issue miniseries.
Hey, this
and
one's
number 0.
autographed.
It is autographed. Had the 0 issue and the 3-issue miniseries before it started.
The 3-issue
And then-
miniseries is newsprint, and then he goes to nice
I
paper.
believe this one starts at 26. Oh no, I started this one at 24. I tried to kind of break it up. So this is 24 through 50. So, but yeah, the square bound one didn't turn out too bad. It seemed to work okay. It was a little bit in the gutter.
Oh, the square bound.
So I wasn't sure how that would work out, but it seemed to work out okay.
There's 2 13s in this one, isn't there?
Did I put both of them in there?
I don't
probably
know.
did.
You? You should have.
I probably did. I don't really like the Jim Lee one, but I probably did. Can't remember what I decided on that.
Oh, that's 8. Was it 8?
No, it was 13, I think. You were right. First time. Or 11. I thought it was 13. But, anywho. Yeah,
And
this
so
came...
Jim Lee. 13.
Oh, yeah, I did do the Jim Lee one. The
12.
other thing I did...
Good old days back there at Image.
Yeah.
You know.
So what we're talking about is, so there was 1 month where all of the image
Image guys like swap their books.
They swapped their books, and they each did. And so Jim Lee did issue 13 of the Savage Dragon,
Wow.
but
I made a
then
dust jacket for my I Hate Fairyland.
Oh,
But
you made
then-
that?
Well, I had it printed, I mean.
Eric Larson.
I mean, I designed it and I printed it.
Eric
You
Larson
printed
wanted
it.
to.
Where did you like Kinko's or something or
Walgreens, actually.
Walgreens? Really?
Just on photo paper.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that turned out kind of nice.
it did. That's you put it in front of the camera there.
I made a dust jacket for my I Hate Fairyland hardcover.
That
I mean, it
is
looks
nice.
cool without the dust jacket and all, but I thought it'd be cool. With it.
I like the
A few
dust
of them I
jacket.
like having
There's
the dust
something
jackets.
of the feel and
Yeah.
something of that.
Yeah.
Huh.
You need to play a little with the, margins and
So
Is that the complete series?
yeah, it's the whole I Hate Fairyland. Yeah.
So you are planning on rereading Savage Dragon, then, obviously.
Well, I'm not gonna read these right away because I reread Savage Dragon a couple of years ago. I reread the whole run.
It doesn't hold up.
Fairly recent. No, it holds up really well. It's just I don't know that I
remember.
want to sit down and read the whole thing.
And why would you get it?
Well, I'm going to eventually go back and read it. I don't. But if you want to start reading, I'm totally down with that.
That's
If you want to
fine.
read like 5 issues of podcast or something, I'd be cool with that.
Wow.
So I just want to show you because I finally came.
You didn't put the price on here.
I did not because it doesn't have a price. It's
He
priceless.
needs to though.
Infinity.
Right.
He needs to put that.
Yeah, we're done.
All right, we're done. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks especially to Chris Grine for hanging out with us for a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, that was fun.
And we will see you guys.
When you